It's a mystery wrapped in a riddle inside an enigma.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down 20 pieces of confidential information many think the government is hiding. Keep in mind, the spread of misinformation can have profoundly harmful consequences, so take all of these with a massive grain of salt.
I don't know if you've done your own research, but my mate Paul sent me a video that exposes the whole thing.
Number 20. Obama's birth origin.
I don't have a Greek rest. A few mistakes, yes. Everybody makes mistakes.
Was the birtherism a mistake?
When you have a... Oh, now you're bringing that up.
When Barack Obama ran for president in 2008, many Americans, without reason, began to question his birthplace. He was born in Hawaii in 1961, only 2 years after it became a U.S. state. Many believed his birth certificate was forged, and that he was actually from Kenya. Donald Trump was a famous promoter of this discredited theory. There's overwhelming evidence that he was indeed born in Hawaii. A 2015 study explored the motivations behind this and found a strong correlation between anti-black attitudes and believing Obama is a Kenyan. All in all, the theory is quite far-fetched, and it's been proven to be motivated by racially driven ideologies.
What about Obama?
What about it?
Number 19. Subliminal advertising.
They spend billions of dollars on TV advertisement, and then they sit there and use subliminal messages to suck your children's minds out. And I know what I'm talking about because I went to junior college for a semester and I studied psychology, so I'm right in there. I know what's going on.
Advertisements that are flashed in pieces of media can be short enough that we don't consciously notice them, but just long enough that the message enters our brains unconsciously. In 1957, James Vickery spliced frames saying "Drink Coca-Cola" into movies and claimed it drove sales higher. He later admitted to having fudged the results, so there's no credibility in his work. However, there have been other studies examining the idea. The results are mixed, with no conclusive evidence for or against its effectiveness. Some think the government is using this technique to control us, a theory with no credible evidence. Additionally, the FCC banned the practice in 1974, but this won't faze the tinfoil hatters, who likely view it as just a cover-up.
Timmy, where's Lassie?
She's out in the orchard, Ma. Peaches are coming in mighty early this year.
Smoke.
You know what they say, Timmy. Early peaches, long summer.
Smoke.
What's that, Lassie?
Are you smoking yet?
Number 18. Who killed MLK Jr.?
The FBI prepares to send Dr. King an anonymous package containing a document that will come to be known as the Poison Pen Letter.
In 1968, Martin Luther King Jr., one of the greatest activists of all time, was shot by James Earl Ray and died 1 hour later. Ray quickly pleaded guilty, but only a few days later he went back on his claim, saying it was a forced confession. The situation got even more suspicious when it came to light that the FBI was blackmailing King into taking his own life. In 1999, a jury in a civil trial found that there was some credibility to the conspiracy, although critics thought the evidence lacked rigorous cross-examination. Also, Ray's story is quite inconsistent, hampering his credibility. So some in America wanted him out of the picture, but it's unclear what links they went to so that it happened. Number 17. Wanting people to eat bugs.
Wow, it's got a gazillion feet. Up, down the hatch.
In March 2023, Thierry Baudet, a far-right Dutch politician, tweeted an image of him pouring bugs onto the floor, captioned, "We will not eat the bugs." Apparently, some believe the upper echelon of society is seeking to make everyone else eat bugs. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration allows minor quantities of bugs in food, because it's almost impossible to avoid them ending up in food products. Also, some organizations have promoted them as a sustainable food source, encouraging their consumption. The anti-bug phrase soon popped up on 4chan, with users overlaying it onto images of Greta Thunberg. Now it's no longer just a meme, and many genuinely believe the theory, including Tucker Carlson.
So as long as we're switching from ribeye to cicadas, we might as well make it good.
Number 16. Bin Laden is still alive.
Several sources now that the President of the United States will announce in just moments that the United States has the body of Osama bin Laden.
Osama bin Laden used to be America's #1 enemy, the founder of Al-Qaeda and the man behind the September 11th attacks. In 2011, he was finally killed by U.S. Navy SEALs at his compound in Pakistan, despite numerous first-hand accounts and the Al-Qaeda confirmation of his death. Some believe it was a lie and he's still out there. This is because there was initially a lack of physical evidence publicly available, although there's equally little evidence he is still alive. He was also buried at sea, which fueled further speculation. The CIA regrets not releasing photos of the corpse, since it encouraged these theories. It also doesn't make sense why America would spare one of its biggest enemies.
Tonight, I can report to the American people and to the world that the United States has conducted an operation that killed Osama bin Laden, the leader of Al-Qaeda.
Number 15. Reptilians run it all.
Wertheimer's Hardware, run by the Illuminati. Lizard people. Lizard people? Jefferson, Einstein, Beyonce. How do you think we got the pyramids?
Reptiles include animals like turtles, crocodiles, lizards, and snakes. And many humans keep reptiles as pets. Some conspiracy theorists wonder if we own the lizards or if they own us. This is the reptile conspiracy theory, which at least 12 million Americans claim to believe. Found in some science fiction stories, it was given new life by David Icke, a notorious Holocaust denier. He claims to believe an alien race of shape-shifting lizards hijacked the Earth. Supposedly, they control world politics to create, quote, negative energy, which is their primary source of nutrition. It's an outlandish theory with no real evidence existing anywhere.
And it was the most amazing, but also sort of bizarre situation to look down at your body and see it morph from your human form.
Number 14. Hiding a cure for cancer.
Breakthrough in what could be a major game changer. 14 patients with advanced rectal cancer are in remission after taking the same drug. It's a small trial, but so far it had a 100% success rate.
Our next entry becomes extremely silly after rubbing two brain cells together and thinking about it for more than a minute. Many people think we already have a cure for cancer, and the government is hiding it. It's supposedly to make money profiting off cancer patients. It can be debunked quite easily, since some of the wealthiest people have died from cancer. If society's elite class has a cure, why don't they use it to cure their cancer? Additionally, many countries across the globe have nationalized healthcare services, which don't make any profit at all. These nations have even less motivation to withhold the cure, making this an extremely ludicrous theory. Yet many still believe it regardless.
Carter, you've discovered the holy grail of modern medicine. Why the hell would you keep it buried like this?
Well, I'll tell you why. Because there's far more money to be made in treating a disease than in curing it.
Number 13. Television is used to control your mind.
She was a part of some study in college.
MK Ultra.
Yeah, that's the one.
In the 1950s and 60s, the CIA experimented with mind control in Project MK Ultra. It was widely unethical and became public knowledge in 1975. Its existence has fueled fears about large-scale population control, and approximately 17% of Americans believe this is happening via TV. It's also been fueled by Operation Mockingbird, a covert CIA operation aimed at spreading pro-US and anti-Soviet propaganda in the Cold War. It's unclear if America is still trying to literally mind control the public. However, news programs can be biased and can be a powerful tool for influencing public opinion. So it's perhaps a valid topic of concern, though to what extent it may happen remains debated.
And on the flip side of this, Michael, having lived through and reported through this period of American history, are you less likely to trust what you're told by the CIA or other government agencies?
Number 12. Vaccines are dangerous.
The measles outbreak in Washington state is spreading, and there are now cases in at least 9 states.
Now, Michigan has not been impacted yet, but the CDC is warning the outbreak is only expected to get worse.
Are vaccines causing more harm than good? That's what some people would have you believe. The anti-vaccine movement has been around for decades, but didn't really become prominent until the 1990s, when an article claimed that there was a link between autism and the combined measles, mumps, and rubella (MMR) vaccine. While this study has since been widely discredited, it has resulted in parents choosing not to vaccinate their children, which in turn has caused an increase in diseases like the measles. Conspiracy theorists would have you believe that government officials are behind this vaccine poisoning to support the lucrative pharmaceutical industry or control the population, but this seems highly unlikely.
I got a list of dozens of studies. I could spend a long time just reading them to you, but I don't think it's going to make any difference.
Number 11. AIDS was engineered to reduce certain populations.
You've tested positive for HIV, which is the virus that causes AIDS.
Sticking with the topic of diseases, this well-known theory claims that the government, and specifically the CIA, created HIV to reduce the population of gay men and African Americans. This theory stems from the fact that at its beginning, the virus appeared to affect those specific groups more so than others. While African Americans and homosexual men have been the victims of prejudice and injustice for many years, it's hard to believe that the government would create a deadly disease to eliminate these groups, regardless of the era. However, it wouldn't be the first unconscionable thing the government's done.
Scientists believe that HIV originated in West Central Africa, where a similar virus was found in chimpanzees and gorillas.
Number 10. Anyone can be a secret government informant.
Does Big Brother exist? Of course.
You may be a secret informant without even knowing it. Seriously, in 2008, Congress passed the FISA Amendments Act, which gave the government the authority to surveil Americans' international communications. The Freedom of Information Act required the government to release FISA documents, but they withheld the identities of electronic communication service providers that provided information, stating that these businesses would be harmed if their customers knew they were giving information to the FBI. So essentially, your cell phone provider could be allowing the FBI to surveil your activity, and you will never know about it.
Inside the U.S., 3.1 billion emails and calls. It's not including any of the telecom company data.
Number 9. Banks, specifically Goldman Sachs, control the government.
A's, 0. B's, 0. Double B's, 0. Triple B's, 0. And then that happens.
What is that?
That's America's housing market.
The government released reports outlining what caused the financial crisis of 2007 and 8. And as most of us already know, things like faulty regulations, toxic mortgages, and a basic failure of the system were primarily to blame. However, were those in charge of such predatory practices prosecuted and punished for their crimes? Not in the United States. White-collar criminals in Iceland, for example, were sent to jail for their roles in the economic crisis. But in the U.S., not only were these financial figures not held accountable, they were given jobs within the government itself. This causes many conspiracy theorists to suspect that the government is controlled by banks, and specifically Goldman Sachs.
Banks took the money the American people gave them and they used it to pay themselves huge bonuses and lobby the Congress to kill big reform. And then they blamed immigrants and poor people.
Number 8. The Earth is flat.
And the Earth is...
Flat.
Flat. The Earth is flat.
My reality, my senses tell me that the Earth is flat and stationary.
The idea of a spherical Earth has been supported by overwhelming evidence for thousands of years, stemming from observations, experiments, and logical reasoning. Despite this fact, many individuals think it's flat. It's one of the silliest theories, and goes against basic observations in nature, like the sun setting and rising, lunar eclipses, mirages, constellations changing in hemispheres, ships disappearing over horizons, etc. The concept of a round Earth goes back at least to the 6th century BCE, so it's peculiar that flat Earth nonsense persists. It can be attributed to a combination of distrust in authorities and scientific illiteracy, rather than some kind of solid proof that supports the idea of a flat Earth.
Somebody asked me, what if it turned out wrong? What if it was wrong? What if would you feel this sense of guilt if all of a sudden it was proved to be a globe?
Number 7. 5G caused COVID.
Well, the coronavirus has proven difficult to contain, so is much of the misinformation about it. One such myth claims the virus is being spread through the newest generation of wireless technology.
5G is the newest form of cellular network technology, which is a type of non-ionizing electromagnetic radiation. For some bizarre reason, millions of people worldwide began to believe it caused COVID. The theory is incredibly whimsical and has zero evidence at all supporting it. It's also perplexing that people would be fearful of non-ionizing electromagnetic radiation, a label also used to describe visible light. If the theory is true, why have humans been safely living with visible light for thousands of years? It comes from a fundamental misunderstanding of high school science, which teaches viruses spread via physical contact, not through photons.
This is unequivocally a new virus as opposed to something related to 5G.
Number 6. The U.S. government distributed illegal substances themselves.
Did the CIA work with and protect major drug traffickers?
Yes, absolutely.
The government has been called a lot of things: murderers, racists, and now drug dealers. In the late 1990s, Gary Webb, a Pulitzer Prize-winning reporter for the San Jose Mercury News, wrote a series of articles that linked CIA agents in Central America to drug rings in Los Angeles. Webb claimed that the government protected its Nicaraguan allies and allowed them to sell cocaine to black residents in South Central LA. Why would they do this? Allegedly, so the CIA-backed terrorist rebel group the Contras could receive funding, and so the government could carry out their plot to destroy inner-city black America.
What did the CIA say to you in jail?
What did I know about cocaine, being trafficked by the Contras? Which, I didn't really know about the Contras.
Number 5. Chemtrails are dangerous.
Now, if you see graffiti like this in your neighborhood, you can suspect your DNA is being targeted by a release of aluminum into the atmosphere through chemtrails.
Many conspiracy theorists suggest that the government is poisoning us somehow, whether to keep us docile and controllable or to support pharmaceutical companies. Could they be using airplanes to do it? Some people believe that the traces left in the sky by planes are not simply condensation trails, but actually chemical agents, which are distributed to control the population. This claim has been widely dismissed by scientists around the world, who have repeatedly stated that there is nothing irregular about these trails. Still, this theory has plenty of prominent supporters, including Smashing Pumpkins frontman Billy Corgan.
Based on our highly credible experts and scientific approach to chemtrails, we can verify the chemtrail conspiracy is false.
Number 4. The moon landing was faked.
Not one piece of so-called evidence that the conspiracy theorists put forward has ever stood up to peer review scrutiny.
Right, but obviously it is fake, because how could they have landed on the moon if the moon isn't real?
Nearly half a century later, and people still don't believe that we actually sent people to the moon. On July 20th, 1969, Apollo 11 crew members Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin became the first people to walk on the moon. This effectively ended the space race, a competition between the Soviet Union and the United States. Of course, many people believe that the landing was staged to ensure that the US got the upper hand on their Cold War rivals. Others believe that it was simply used as a distraction from the disastrous Vietnam War.
Wow, Neil Armstrong! Hey, wait a minute. You're supposed to be on the moon. I just saw it on TV.
Oh, there's a tape delay and with all solar winds.
Number 3. Who killed JFK and why?
People got to know. People got to know why he was killed. Because he was communist.
In Dallas, Texas, on November 22, 1963, Lee Harvey Oswald assassinated American President John Fitzgerald Kennedy. While the Warren Commission claimed that Oswald acted alone, many people believe the president was murdered for a far bigger reason. While there are dozens of theories regarding the assassination, with blame being placed on the Soviets, the Cubans, and even the Mafia, one theory suggests that Kennedy's vice president, Lyndon B. Johnson, may have been involved. Johnson has been accused of disliking the Kennedys, and was worried that he may be dropped from the Kennedy ticket in 1964. But more importantly, Kennedy conspiracy theorists think the government is aware of what happened and have consistently covered it up.
And once you conclude the magic bullet could not create all 7 of those wounds, you have to conclude that there was a 4th shot and a second rifleman. And if there was a second rifleman, then by definition, there had to be a conspiracy.
Number 2. The whole story behind 9/11.
It's a different kind of detonation. They would not leave detonator cords and devices as they do in traditional, more economical detonations. This is a very different kind of operation.
When the Twin Towers were attacked on September 11, 2001, many people immediately believed that this was something more than an act of terrorism. Similar to the attack on Pearl Harbor, some claim that the U.S. government had ample warning about the attacks, but chose to ignore them so they would have a motive for initiating a war in the Middle East. Others believe that the towers collapsed as a result of a controlled demolition, which once again, the Bush administration could use to support invasions of Afghanistan and Iraq.
There's a lot of circumstantial claims, a lot of innuendo, a lot of whack-a-mole, which you explain one thing away and they mention something else, and it never ends. But the reality is, this far out, no one has been able to provide a single piece of evidence that those buildings were explosively demolished.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into settings and switch on your notifications. Number 1. Aliens exist.
That wasn't a dream, Carmen. Those were visitors. No, it was just a dream. My mom said so. Visitors are real. Yeah, they abduct people and they mutilate cows. Ah, shut up, you guys. You're just trying to make me scared, and it's not working.
Whether it's Area 51 or the Roswell crash, we seem to have an obsession with alien conspiracy theories. In 1947, a United States Air Force surveillance balloon crashed near Roswell, New Mexico, but some people would have you believe that it was actually an alien spacecraft. If it was a spacecraft, it was likely moved to Nevada's Area 51, where theorists claim that the U.S. government examines alien technology and houses alien life forms. Although documents have revealed that Area 51 was actually used as a testing location for spy planes, people still believe that this is all just a cover-up for the existence of extraterrestrial life.
You expect me to believe that a flying saucer came down and took your friend away to outer space?
That's the truth, mister. That's exactly what happened.
What do you think are the most far-fetched things people think America is hiding? Tell us in the comments.
You were part of a campaign to delegitimize a president of the United States? Matters, no?
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.